Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the edition of How Did This Get Booked? I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning, and I'm a veteran of the professional wrestling business for over a decade, and I've held every single job except selling popcorn. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my good friend, a man with a story we'll get into in a little bit. Zane Riley. Zane, how are you doing?
I mean, it's been a fucked up day, buddy.
Oh, it's been a real fucked up day.
Ugh.
But before we get into your fucked up day, let's bring in our guest for today.
See, I thought I would tell the story, and then his awesome-ass accent would totally make all the shit I said way better.
Okay.
But I mean, you're here all the time, so you'll
I think we need to bring our guest in now.
Cool.
Because
maybe he has experiences.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't want you to tell this story and we leave him in the dark the whole time.
Yeah.
Like he's sitting in the audio closet, because sometimes we do that with guests, is we just leave him in the audio closet. We're going to bring the guest in now, introduce him on the microphone, and then I'm going to kick it back to my co-host, who has a very interesting story. Listen, this is how I want the format to go.
Yeah, man,
we have a very tight format
so
for
tight.
Today's episode. I got sheets, I got maps, I got books out. I got all kinds of prep.
You have your conspiracy theory thread and pinboard behind you?
We're going to get a conspiracy theories in the next episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Man.
So we'll get in deep on that one. But we are joined today by a guest, comedian, a new comedian as well, new to maybe the States as well.
Fucking
Relatively, but a guy who I would say we're good friends now.
We are.
We had good conversations.
Yeah.
Comedian Kevin Tobin. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, gentlemen. Jake, I'm delighted to come out of the closet.
Oh my God!
Already one of our best guests.
I think I'm about to piss in your toilet, so that makes us friends, right?
Yes, that makes us good friends. Also, too, let me inform you why you were here after I introduced you on stage at the All Organic Comedy Show, which my co-host Zane Riley attended and supported. As soon as you were on stage and you said sentence one, after I introduced you, you said hello, who you are, and you said your first joke. As I was walking back to the back of the room, Zane visually tried to drunkenly grab me, and he goes, "I want that voice on our podcast."
Yeah, you could have been the shittiest comedian on stage that night. Nope. That guy speaks in our microphones now, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I've always been told I have a face for radio.
Yeah. Voice for the masses, though.
I love this guy. Right, he came with a pocket full of jokes.
Yeah.
The way a true professional shows up to a podcast. But now that you're not out of the audio closet, Zane Riley, do you want to? You had a bit of an incident.
On my way here, saw a dead body. It was a horrifically bad wreck on the way over here. Like a quarter of the car was no longer attached to the car. Kind of bad. And so I'm driving up on it and everybody's fucking goosenecking and everybody's kind of looking at it. But all I see is this fucked car that's missing the back portion of said car. From the back of the back seat to the end of the car is gone. I was like, oh, that's fucking nuts. And then you can see a bit 200 feet past it was that back section that was missing. And then I was like, fuck. And then people were just kind of walking around and I was like, man, none of these people look like they got fucked up in this wreck, but this is a bad, oh shit. I thought it was a pair of shoes at first. And then and there was some shoes and some debris. And then as I passed the debris, there was something connected to it, and it was a person. And that is the first person I have ever seen dead out in the world like that, in the wild.
But not your first dead body total.
No, minus funerals and whatnot.
What type of shoes were they?
They were real dirty work boots. And,
they're not Air Force Ones.
They were not stunned like daddy. They were very, very dirty work boots. But this is a heavily trafficked area. Is that a word? Trafficked? Whatever.
Trafficked?
There's heavy traffic there, but it's also a 35.
Right.
So I'm not sure. This motherfucker had to have been going upwards of 1 million to be able to even do what has happened here. I assume he was dead. He wasn't moving at all, but he wasn't contorted into a fashion where I'd be like, yep, those parts don't go that way. Mm-hmm. But no, not my first dead body. We've talked about it a moment ago. When I was in high school, I was part of this school club. And they did a job shadowing thing where you go to work with someone that is in your line that you want to be when you grow up. And I said I wanted to be a psychologist. And they sent me to a morgue. And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna follow
to
this?"
talk to the people seeing the dead bodies.
That would
or...
be the only way I could figure it out.
Okay.
Because other than that, fucking kids went to like grooming places. One stupid ass said they wanted to be a teacher, so they just left him at school like a dumb fuck. But then like people went to a barber shop and stuff like that. And I went to a funeral home and saw a dead man just kind of laying there on the slab, and they shaved him. And they were like, "Oh, here's the break room, and here's the lobby, and here's a dead body, and let's go to lunch now." Like, what the fuck? And there was this old dude dead, but over on the side was another body, but it was covered with a sheet. And like, we can't show you that one. And I was like, "Oh fuck, why not?" And this had been on the news in the little town that I was from. A couple days prior, a man was riding his horse into town, and his horse fell over and crushed a kid in a convertible car. And that was that kid under that sheet. So it's a day. It's been a day.
Where the fuck are you from?
No, like it's just a normal city. It's just a small town. There's just some people that there's a lot of farming country around it.
Right.
And so they're not like the Amish or anything. They're not like Mennonites. They just rode a horse into town.
Well, I wanted you to tell that story because speaking of horses, Kevin, you have intimate knowledge of horses.
Yeah.
I rode a horse into a small town one time. Time has passed. It's been upwards of 20 years.
I know. Look that pass, and you just dunked it right there. Just call me LeBron in that one. But no, go right ahead.
But I have to say that's a bit of a killer story when it comes to. So I was a jockey.
What?
Yeah, no shit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I rode my first horse when I was 5 years old.
How many people did you kill being a jockey?
6.5.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So it was that kid. It was
another jockey.
It was another jockey.
Which let me tell you, when you're talking about midgets, when it comes to jockeys, it's a pretty small guy. You know,
he might be a baby.
Yeah, it could have been. But yeah, I was a jockey. I started riding horses when I was 5 years old in Ireland, and pretty much did that right the way throughout my life. Turned professional when I was 16.
How do you become a professional jockey?
Essentially, with horses, there's a bunch of different areas you can go. You can go into the military in Ireland. There's a whole equestrian side of the military in Ireland. You can go into like show jumping, which you sometimes see on like the Olympics and things like that. And there's a bunch of different things, but I kind of wanted to go faster and go, more challenging stuff.
Less death.
Well, essentially what you do is you find somebody who trains horses in an area, which in Ireland is far more common than it would be in the greater Charlotte region. And you say, "Hey, can I have a job? I want to be a jockey." And you go and you work and you start like you would in anything. You start shoveling shit and you start cleaning boots and cleaning horses, and eventually you get a chance and hopefully you take it. And so I traveled around the world, was in Australia, China, Dubai, all these
Fucking
places.
Lord.
Came here to Maryland about 8 years ago, Baltimore, Maryland, and rode horses up there, and then put on about 40 pounds. So I'm not a big guy. Obviously, you can't see this at home. I'm not the biggest guy, but
you're the biggest jockey.
Right. But I was about 40 pounds lighter when I
You're
rode.
the road warrior version of the jockeys. That's what you're saying.
Right. And so then started to train horses, and then actually got involved in the admin promotion side of the game, and came down here to Charlotte, which is the home of the Queen's Cup steeplechase. Those of you that don't know about it, it's the last Saturday in every April, and I'm going to take this absolute shameless plug of my event and job.
We'll give you the option again to do it at the end as well.
Yes, we do the front end, the back end, and any end we want.
All the ends we can get.
And randomly throw it in the middle if you feel like it. If it works, fill it.
Yeah, so I now work as a business development director, and that's essentially what brought me here. And then figured, fuck it, what could be more obscure than that? And effectively standing in front of a room full of people and trying making them laugh, and kind of fits right in,
There you go.
You just finding your little corners,
Right,
finding your little corners in life. I dig it. I dig that about you.
And so at the end of April, do you leave?
No, we just bought a house here. I recently got married. I needed a green card.
I understand. I get it.
Yeah, totally. I might be on the other side of that decision. I don't know. Really, really pretty Australian girl. But
if you got a sister or somebody that wants to be American, I'll marry. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
If you got a brother, fuck, that's legal.
I'm all for it. Listen,
they ask less questions.
Huh?
They ask less questions when you do it that way.
Yeah. Were you gonna offend me and my homosexual lover here? Bring it. Ask questions.
You want me to prove it? You want me to prove it?
Dig your dick out. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to see that. Oh, now you care, huh?
Right.
Really glad he called me on that one.
Yeah, Senator King or Congressman King. You want to see it?
I will suck this dick right now.
So yeah, you're here.
Here, and very happy to be here. And look, I mean, whatever we get into over the next hour, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to come and sit with you guys. And I think variety is the spice of life, and it's pretty spicy.
Especially in 1988.
Exactly, definitely 1988. Before we get to 1988, though, I was conversating with you, and I asked, were you ever a pro wrestling fan? And I was kind of taking a chance because I don't think we've had anybody on here who's lived in a different country.
Right.
So I want to know. I'm going to ask a lot more follow-up questions and detailed questions on how you became a pro wrestling fan, because one of the things is we want non-wrestling fans and then people that used to be fans that aren't fans anymore, and you fall more so in the latter than the former. Please tell me about your experiences with professional wrestling.
Well, I guess it started in Ireland. The only wrestling that was on was Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. They would show, I guess, whatever the highlights from the week previous were. And, it was WWF at the time. Vince McMahon was still a commentator at the time. And my brother used to body slam the shit out of me around the place because he'd watch it on TV, and then when I got old enough, I'd start watching it, and it was to me when I was like between 5 and 10 years old. So you're talking early 90s, very early 90s. I'd have to go to bed at 8 o'clock, and my mom would wake me up at like 2 a.m. to watch the Royal Rumble or to watch WrestleMania or something like that.
That's cool.
And you get up, and I remember, you know, when I started thinking about it, when I got into this and watched the video and start thinking a little bit more about wrestling, all these names started coming back to me, and the little moves that they do, or the big moves that they do, like Razor Ramon and Tatanka and all those people, and then you had all those rivalries going on, and of course the Hulkster and the Ultimate Warrior, Yokozuna, all that kind of stuff. It was cool, and then I got into riding horses competitively about 11 years old. And that pretty much ended anything like a wrestling thing, but it was a bunch of fun to go back and look at some old wrestling tapes and kind of refresh all that, you know.
Did you recognize anybody from what we watched?
I had a vague. I wondered if the Animal and Hawk were later to become the Legion of Doom. That's
the same guys.
Okay.
Yes. I tried my hardest to pick something out that you would probably not recognize the people, because you said you had no exposure to WCW, because WCW...
And I can tell you afterwards that I had no exposure to WCW.
and this show, even as me being a wrestling fan, this is the first time I ever saw it. So I was never exposed to this wrestling show either. So don't worry.
Some of the names rang a bell. Like I'd heard of Dusty Rhodes, but never seen him.
Yeah.
And obviously Lex Luger then went on to the WWF, but I'd never seen him as a young wrestler and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, is because I want you to get like your opinion of this, because this is a very controversial event that we're going to be discussing today. And
you didn't know that because we didn't read that book that you have.
Oh, I have done a deep dive on this thing. I have so many notes and so many things I'm gonna have to go back to and jump to and stuff like that. But the topic of discussion today is I said WCW, but it's more NWA Jim Crockett Promotions presents the Bunkhouse Stampede 1988. The show took place January 24th, 1988 in Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. The event drew 6,000 people, and it was a pay-per-view event. The pay-per-view gross was $300,000, which was split in half with the pay-per-view companies as well. That equated to 20,000 buys. But a lot of controversy about this. Part of the reason it was Jim Crockett Promotions' foray into pay-per-view. It was their second one. The Starrcade 87 kind of was a debacle. They tried to have Starrcade 87 on pay-per-view, and Vince McMahon said, well, if you're going to have this other company on pay-per-view, you can't carry WrestleMania. And they're like, well, if you're going to boycott these people, you got to give us something. And so WWF created Survivor Series because of Starrcade, 87. And then the Bunkhouse Stampede was going to be on pay-per-view. So Vince is like, well, I'm going to fuck you over, and I'm going to create the Royal Rumble and put that on free TV. So basically, the Survivor Series and Royal Rumble were all in reactions to Jim Crockett Promotions.
Which is all fuck yous.
So we can thank the Bunkhouse Stampede for the Royal Rumble.
Yes. Yeah. This show right here that you're watching is because of the Royal Rumble.
You woke up at 2 a.m. Your mother woke you up at 2 a.m. because of this.
Because of this. This is the inception of all of
it. That's mind-blowing.
Full circle.
Yeah. But, of course, Jim Crockett Promotions did come back for round 3, and they put on a free show the same day as WrestleMania 4. So, a free show and free TV. So, and that was the Clash of the Champions 1. There's also a big controversy about this show. It was very, as you could tell, the production quality of the Royal Rumble is a little bit different than the Bunkhouse Stampede. But they were going on at the same time, and they seemed worlds apart. But also, too, Jim Crockett Promotions was just trying to go national at this time, and they were doing a very poor job, to say the least. And even in the smallest things, the tickets for the Bunkhouse Stampede, some of the tickets, the first batch of tickets, said that the bell time was 7:30, and also there was also some tickets that said 8 p.m. as well. The show actually started, and the actual bell time was 6:35 p.m.
Whoa!
Wow!
Show was over at 9 p.m.
Goddamn. So some people showed up at 8 and it was over by 9.
They only missed one match, though. As long as these matches, they only missed one match. Yeah. So, I mean, they still had 2 or 3 other matches they could see. But it wasn't a long show to even to begin with. Yeah. But, that was...
Operations department was on point there, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. So there was a bit...
Who are the Edwards behind this one?
But that was quite the issue. But this was the beginning of the NWA's big plan to run 4 pay-per-views in the year of 1988.
Yeah, the ground running.
And that was their plan, is they were going to run 4, where Vince was only doing 1 at the time, WrestleMania. But because of NWA running 4, Vince's like, no, I'm going to run 4 now. So, fuck you. That's basically how that goes. But anyways, let's get into discussion. The dark match, which we didn't see, was Jimmy Garvin and Sting taking on the Sheepherders.
I would like to have seen that match more than anything.
Yeah, and it's a pay-per-view. Why don't you just throw it on there? Why are you doing a dark match? Just put that on the pay-per-view. You already have 4 matches. Just give us a 5th. I don't know why that's just not.
Definitely guaranteed the people that were showing up at 7:30 weren't going to see anything at all.
Yeah. Definitely missed the dark. It was dark match because nobody was in the arena. That's why it was a dark match. Nobody was there. Like, well, nobody's here. We got to send them out at 6:30.
So how does that actually work for a wrestler though? In time, because I'm guessing the guys that weren't on the dark match, the guys that featured, maybe was their paycheck bigger, and was the guys contractually applied to fight in a dark match, or like? How does that work actually for the competitors? Well,
maybe that brings up a little piece that I got out of Jim Cornette's book.
Uh-huh.
So, Jim Cornette, the book that I'm referencing is Jim Cornette's Midnight Express book. It's 25th anniversary scrapbook. Basically what he did is he went through Jim Crockett Promotions dumpsters when they closed and pulled out all their records. And that's why we have this amazing information like gates and times and dates and stuff like that. And he basically said that the Midnight Express's payoffs were $5,000 each, mostly an attempt to placate them as their actual payoff as they earned, quote unquote. So actually they probably should have got less, but they gave them just $5,000. But sorry, everything got messed up. Kind of a situation. Like
only one of them was there.
Yeah.
Only Bobby was on the
show.
Stan
did a run-in, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So, but
he got $5,000. I want $5,000 to run in.
Pretty much. So, just to kind of placate them. So,
okay.
But originally, Stan was supposed to be booked in a singles match against Jimmy Garvin, but it was cut for time.
But Jimmy Garvin was in a match.
I know. It all doesn't make sense at all.
The dark matches, though, probably would have made significantly less money than $5,000. Right. Well, I don't know. Sting probably would have made money. Sting would have made primetime money.
Maybe not at this time, because at this time nobody was big on Sting. Because I think the story with Sting is before he was going to get the belt, he wasn't even signed to a contract.
Okay, yeah.
And he was still living in a hotel off Billy Graham Parkway. And it was Flair that stepped up and said, like, hey, this guy, we needed to be paying him actual money because
That's right.
he's not under contract. You're paying him next to nothing. He could just jump with our belt. You got to put him on contract, pay him comparable money to what I'm making. Not more, of course, but comparable, and take care of him. Because this is probably even during the time, because George South used to tell me a story about Sting, because this was during the time that Jim Crockett Promotions had a jet, and they would double shot sometimes. They would double shot. They would do like an early afternoon show in Charleston, South Carolina, and then do a night show in St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
And so they would do stuff like that. Like they would do a show in Atlanta, and then they'd have to be in Baltimore, Maryland the next day, and they would just take the jet up so they could get there and get some sleep when they got there. Well, the jet was full, and they basically told Sting, like, hey, Sting, we have to give your seat to J.J. Dillon, a manager. And they made Sting drive all the way up from Atlanta to Baltimore.
Wow.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Don't think that motherfucker remembers that shit.
Yeah, no kidding. That's why he wipes his hands. That's why he uses Perel every time somebody shakes his hand.
Yeah, that's why he wants the big bucks for appearances.
And the sheep herders would have been the bushwhackers. If you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
He's doing the arm thing.
Doing the arm thing. So, yeah. But this whole show, critically panned, artistically, critically, financially, on all fronts.
Hang on, I got to take a step back. So they went from the sheep herders to the bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really gave themselves a lift in the word with naming, didn't they?
Yeah.
Lateral movement on the name.
Well, that's the thing. Like the sheep herders, when they were the sheep herders, they were known for like getting blood all the time and getting busted open and be really hardcore and just beating the shit out of everybody. But when the bushwhackers, they're just like play fight with guys basically.
Let's lick these guys instead of cut them up.
Like your brother body slamming you was far more vicious than anything the bushwhackers did their entire run in WWF.
Incredible.
So, but no big CGI intro that we see on Royal Rumble or like that, video toaster graphics that would come flying in. We just start with Nikita Koloff walking to the ring, and then we get an introduction by Bob Caudle and Jim Ross, just talking. And then we just throw it to match number 1, which is an NWA TV title match with Nikita Koloff taking on one half of the Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton, with Jim Cornette in his corner. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on match number 1?
The first thing was the music that jumped out at me.
Yes.
Like, if I remember anything, it was that deep sound when the Undertaker would stand at the top of the ramp and the whole place would just go crazy, right? So I was expecting that each wrestler would have a theme song.
You were expecting pageantry.
Something.
Yeah.
And it was just the very same as like a 1990s arcade game background music that were coming on, and no announcer was talking over the intro. So that was the first thing that jumped out at me. The second thing was that Beautiful Bobby was really out of shape. Like looking at him. No, I wouldn't want. He kicked my ass, but I wouldn't. I was looking in, going, this guy's kind of out of shape
compared to what you would see in WWF.
Exactly. Compared to what I would have assumed the wrestler was.
Yeah.
And the most incredible mullet I've ever seen.
The most incredible mullet. Like this right here is just full on. Like I don't think I've seen that much party in the back from a mullet like maybe ever. Definitely from Bobby. This is it, full on party in the back.
It was amazing, and even when he started to really sweat in the match, I was like, his hair is still amazing.
Still looking great.
Still amazing.
That's why he's beautiful. That's why he's beautiful.
They don't call him attractive Bobby.
Mildly attractive Bobby Eaton.
Yeah. Bobby Eaton, he's okay.
That's a great Bobby Eaton. He's all right.
He's all right.
But again, look, I suppose I'm brutally honest. I didn't really set myself a standard at the start of this show as to what I was expecting to see. And the first match didn't blow me away. It was... again, to go back to like what I've been used to seeing with WWF, or when you get the ads on TV now for Monday Night Raw or something like that, you just see athleticism up the wazoo. You see people bouncing off the rafters. You see athletes just doing all this, and next thing you see two guys in a ring that it took
grabbing a hold
4 minutes before they even touched each other. But the Russian guy looked very angry,
like Russians do.
But what did pop up to me was right the way throughout the show, even beyond this match, was fuck me, how coordinated the whole thing is, from where the referees are standing to the managers to the commentators to the announcers to all that kind of stuff, how it all came together to make a show, to make a production, to get you to buy in. And like, even with basic stuff that was going on in this first match, like an arm hold or something like that, they were playing it up like it was absolute agony. They couldn't stand it, which made it, I was engrossed in it then by the end of it. To be honest, like I was waiting for it was the first match I've ever seen that had a time limit.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for it to flip, you know, as it would, that you had the bad guy that was kind of dominating, and then the good guy was going to come in and just flip him over and pin him, but naturally enough it never happened. But and then the second half of the tag team came in and kicked his ass right at the end, right? And that, I was all about that. I was like, all right, now we got a rivalry. Now we got to watch it next week and see what happens, right?
Yeah. So you bought in. You got
absolutely.
You bought in the story.
I was bunking off work today to watch it again, and I was like, you know,
it's that raw charisma of fuckable Bob Eaton, you know?
Goddamn dick still Bobby Eaton.
What are your thoughts on it, Zane?
I love Bobby Eaton. This is the kind of wrestling that I was raised on. I was a WCW kid, as I've said multiple times, or NWA. I would have been 4 here, so I had not watched this one. I didn't wake up for it. But this is the kind of love. I never remember Nikita being that great.
Because he wasn't.
But seeing this match is like, goddamn, Bobby, you're amazing. Because he makes him look like a fucking $1 million. But it was just a really good match. But my good Nikita Koloff story, though, I might have told it on here. When I was a Jesus boy at a younger age, I went to this, like, it's called the Big God Conference. A big whoop, name dropping, some old Christian camp thing.
Was Billy Graham there?
No, but Nikita Koloff was.
Oh, okay. That's a stand-in, always.
Always.
There's Billy Graham, Johnny Cash, Nikita Koloff. Yeah, that's how it goes.
It's in that order, right?
In that order.
That's the Holy Trinity.
I wish I could have fucking got Johnny Cash then in that case. I'd have been a country music singer instead. So Nikita comes out doing his fucking Russian accent deal, and he goes, and to think, I'm just a guy from New Jersey, and like totally killed it and blew like.
But he's not from New Jersey, he's from Minnesota,
or from wherever it was.
Okay.
And like, oh, what? Wait a minute. Oh, it fucking just drained me. Like,
that's your Santa Claus moment.
Yeah, exactly. It was worse than my Santa Claus moment, and I cried when I found out Santa wasn't real.
He's not?
Nope, brother. It turns out my dad's a piece of shit. But yeah, so I cried with fucking Nikita Koloff. I just got saved, and then
everybody thought you were being saved. You're like, no, my childhood is ruined because this man was supposed to be Russian.
Jesus Christ, no! And then I was really just meaning like, why Nikita Koloff? Why?
Well, and the thing is too, like he committed to the bit of being Russian so much that he changed his name.
Yeah,
like his name was like I think it's like his original name was Nick Sampson or something like that. He changed his legal name to Nikita Koloff. And he would speak with a Russian accent in the show, and he would speak Russian, even like in the bar after the show, trying to pick up a girl. And like, you know, like he would still speak Russian, even during climax of sex, apparently. So as a legend goes, you know.
I will say though that, like, think about that for a second. As an Irish Catholic boy, the fact that your childhood was destroyed by a wrestler revealing his identity at a Jesus camp is a little bit different to some children I know that lives were destroyed at a Jesus camp.
My childhood was just shattered. I had to suck 0 dicks to figure it out. I didn't suck 1 wiener.
I'm not so sure which one I prefer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather take a dick in the mouth and figure this out.
Man.
Quote me on that.
Oh, we will.
Not even going to say don't quote me.
Okay. Quote. Adam. Whatever.
At me, Nikita.
Whatever. But yeah, like, Nikita, never historically known as probably the best wrestler in the world. And also, too, did you ever hear the story of how Nikita Koloff got into wrestling?
No.
Basically, they wanted a big, jacked up Russian guy. And they started asking all the boys, like, hey, do you know anybody who's like super jacked and could come in and be a Russian? The Road Warriors knew Nick from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And they're like, hey, come down, Dusty wants to meet you. basically Dusty brought him into office with Ivan Koloff. They told him to take his shirt off, and they're like, "You're hired. You're booked. You're gonna be in Greenville, South Carolina tonight, and your name's gonna be Nikita Koloff." And he knew nothing. Yeah. So they just trained him on the job, and he was the Russians were the big heels in this area, and all he knew was how to give people a clothesline. So he would just come in and just clothesline the shit out of people and call it the Russian sickle. And he was just wild and crazy and would just beat the fuck out of guys. He would just beat guys up for 30 seconds on TV, talk like a Russian. He was the most over thing ever.
1988, Russia-America relations probably weren't the best, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So
it fit perfectly as far as...
And he still would have been a heel at this time if it wasn't for the fact that Magnum TA got into a car accident. And they needed somebody to fill that babyface spot, so they turned Nikita babyface. And, it's disputed that maybe Nikita preferred to be a bad guy and get that Russian heat. So when he was a babyface, he felt like he didn't really want to do that. And also, too, like, he was going through a lot of stuff personally, so his head wasn't in the game. So Bob Eaton's not only wrestling somebody who's limited in the ring, he's limited somebody who's... attention and desire is very limited, and Bobby's just trying to do the best he possibly can. So if you look at this match, like, it's kind of boring, he's doing his best. No, Bobby is carrying 3 different loads. And he knows that at any moment...
All those loads outweigh him.
Exactly. And at any moment, this guy could just clothesline him or just stiff him. So yeah, I'm going to hang on to that hammerlock as long as possible. I got to do a 20-minute draw with him. Oh, I know what I'm doing. But
you can't knock me the fuck out if you can't move your arm, buddy.
Exactly. But Bobby does do a great sell into the post and falls into the camera guy. Just always the little things with Bobby.
I loved that the biggest heat moment of this entire match was just Cornette and Bobby hugging at the beginning, and they made such a big deal about them hugging.
It's still a Southern thing. I can't tell you how many times I wrestle like with an old Southern heel and like, oh, hug me, like that's supposed to get I just did it with James Drake in Virginia last year.
Yeah.
And it was a very... I'm going to say backwoods area.
Yeah, so they fucking hated it.
They hated it. And some of the things that were said to me during that match
called me a whole bunch of hard Fs out there.
Yeah, hard Fs, really hard agats, and, really things you don't scream aloud in 2018 nor 2019.
Or unless you're in Virginia,
unless you're in just outside of Richmond, Virginia.
So get me up to speed here on the lingo. So the heel is the bad guy?
Yes.
Heel, yeah.
And the babyface then is the good guy?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Heat is where the bad guy is cheating to beat up the good guy.
Yeah. Right. Now some old timers just mad at us now for insulting us about getting heat from the hug and just breaking kayfabe and explaining what babyface and heel is. But so
goddamn boys, you're killing
everything. But
he was just telling you how much old wrestling brought him back into it. He was buying it. You killed it.
Tell that old motherfucker I'd kick his ass anytime. Come right up here.
Yeah,
brother.
Oh,
goddamn!
Best promo ever.
Well, it was probably a better time killer in between the match, because the post-match between Jim and Bob Caudle, just trying to kill time in between, and then just random referee walking in front of the camera. Like I was like, this is a fucking pay-per-view, and Dick Kroll, fucking legendary referee Dick Kroll, just walking in front of the camera and just kind of casually smiling directly into the fucking camera.
Y'all recording? I didn't know.
Yeah, I was fucking blown away that this was fucking happening. And I was just thinking, if this was a WWF pay-per-view in 1988 and somebody walked in front of the fucking camera and fucking just casually smiled directly down the fucking lens and then walked past, like, Vince McMahon would have fucking eviscerated a human being for doing that.
He'd have killed that man.
He would have fucking killed that man with his own bare hands, and then had Pat Patterson and Bruce Pritchard bury him in the swamps of fucking New Jersey. Like, there's no way that would ever be done in the WWF. But here at the Bunkhouse Stampede, don't worry, it'll happen a couple more fucking times in between matches. Why not? Why not? Why the fuck not?
It's cool, guys. It's cool.
But that leads us to match number 2, which is a Western States Heritage Championship match.
Just grasping for names for belts these days.
Western Heritage, it's more about the expansion into the Western States, even though we're defending the...
You mean Manifest Destiny?
Yes. It took a while for Jim Crockett Promotion to get behind the idea of Manifest Destiny. They were a little bit slow.
Real long time.
They weren't on board necessarily with Buffalo Bill Wild Cody.
They used to wait for the South
and Custard and all this thing. Yeah, they're just trying to get a strong foothold, waiting for the return of the Civil War to kind of come up. And they're like, all right, okay, we'll move out west. We'll start expanding a little bit that way now.
I hear there's gold out there. Let's go get it.
Exactly. So that's when they start running house shows in L.A. and San Francisco. But Barry Windham is your Western States Heritage Champion, and he's taking on Larry Zbyszko, who is seconded by Baby Doll. And as a reminder, folks, anybody who's been following me on Twitter, Barry Windham is not an employee of highspots.com. I have to remind you.
Has there been a reason for the influx of messages to him?
I have no unearthly idea. Just to catch you up, Kevin, so you're not so much in the audio closet anymore. Sure. I work for an online wrestling merchandise company, and for whatever reason, some random fan has decided to send their fan mail for Barry Windham to my office.
Wow.
And
Is it the same fan every
same
time?
one.
Oh, man. I'm going to try to get everyone I know to send messages to Barry Windham at your office.
They keep sending fan mail that has a self-addressed
Please
envelope
tell
inside.
me at some point you've written back.
Have you read any of it?
I have not. But I'm thinking about collecting all of it and then doing like a Miracle on 34th Street thing and just dumping it down in front of Barry Windham at an autograph appearance.
I don't know why everybody keeps sending me your mail.
Because literally it was like I saw the envelope one day like over the holidays and I was like, take a picture. This is kind of funny. And I figured that'd just be it. Yeah. But literally the next day after I posted on Twitter, there was another one.
It's kind of like this.
It's been coming every week now to the office.
Does he have a return address on there?
Yes.
Write him back and tell him you're coming for dinner.
Yeah.
Barry Windham's going to come for dinner.
Is that
too cruel? Is that
that'd
wrong?
be great.
No.
That'd be the man.
But I am very sincere about showing up to an autograph appearance and filming me dumping fan letters in front of Barry Windham. Like, let me deliver this to you. Like Miracle on 34th Street.
This is going to be like that Eminem rap video, that Stan video.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but it's to Barry Windham. And then that guy will also be there when you deliver all these messages to Barry Windham, and he'll kill him like that guy did John Lennon.
Yeah.
I love you, Barry Windham.
I love you, Widowmaker. But yeah, I've been perplexed by that. This isn't the first time that Wrestling Fan has sent fan mail to certain wrestlers to the High Spots office.
Who else?
Somebody
to The Rock.
No, somebody sent a fan letter to Misty Blue Summers, who's a female wrestler.
Random.
Yeah. Like it perplexes me why they think that this fan mail would ever get to these people, and also it just speaks to like, man, I didn't realize we had Barry Windham working here.
Yeah.
What I mean, I get the connection that you would think that someone like Chuck Taylor works at highspots.com.
You think Colt Cabana could probably get a letter delivered to High Spots?
Yeah, like I would see like a Marty DeRosa or a Colt Cabana or even Kevin Owens getting a letter. I mean, we did give him a show on our High Spots streaming site. All of that. I could see you making that conclusion, like, hey, I have some fan mail for somebody who is actively on your website. Yeah. But we may have 2 or 3 items that have Barry Windham's likeness on it on our website. Why there'd be such this tight association with highspots.com and Barry Windham. Yeah, I have no idea.
I tell you, one day I hope to be as dedicated as that fan.
Yeah, no shit.
That's something I do. I mean, credit where credit is due. It's fun to laugh and jive at it, but fair play to him. He's sticking in there.
Yeah.
And really hoping Barry Windham's opening.
I'm just saying, if you got a fan letter to Tonka, I mean, I'll pass that on.
What if this guy is just sending mail to, like, I'm going to send it to High Spots, I'm going to send it to WWE, I'm going to send it to AEW, I'm going to send it to the NWA. Just send all this, like, Barry Windham mail to just everyone, shotgun style.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to land to him somewhere.
Oh, you want to know what's something even creepier?
Please.
I had some fan mail delivered to my house.
Oh.
I've had fan mail delivered to me. I've had fan mail delivered to the person I was dating at the time, who was also a wrestler. I've also had fan mail for Joy Giovanni delivered to my house. And to which when that letter came in and I talked to my significant other at the time, I go, oh, look, Joy Giovanni gets fan mail at our house. That my significant other grabbed that letter, put it in the trash, and said, "Now she gets trash here."
There you go.
Suck it, bitch.
So there you go. Just let you know that somebody used to live here committed a federal offense. Just let you know.
So if you guys are looking for her, police,
Please, just saying. Just throw that in there.
throw out her address so she gets some fan mail there.
Yeah. So she no longer lives here, so I may still get fan mail for her.
So if you want to send fan mail and you know what we're talking about, go ahead and send it to High Spots instead.
Yeah.
We'll get it to her.
Please stop sending my ex-girlfriend's fan mail to my house. Just please.
And Barry Windham's
And Barry
fan mail
Windham's
to
the
my
High
place of
Spots.
employment.
All right. You're bringing up bad memories for both. All right.
He wasn't a widowmaker till I met him.
Yes, exactly. But speaking of other
What if
bad,
Barry Windham's getting your fan mail?
I wish.
That would be so. Who the fuck is?
What if we
Man
see
Scout?
each other and I go, "Here, I got something for you," and he goes, "I've got something for you."
Miracles on 34th Street, your ass.
I am Santa Claus.
You give him 2 letters, he gives you the bag.
Yeah.
You guys would be top trumpet.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Mr. Gailey, I can't possibly see that just 2 letters qualify him to be Kris Kringle. Actually, no, I have 2. I do have more examples, but I'm hesitant to use them. Please bring him here on my desk, Mr. Gailey. All right, send him in, boys.
Oh man.
Oh.
You can start sending random fan mail to the basis of a genre. Ronald McDonald, I'm just gonna send it to like a fast food joint.
Exactly. Yeah, if you guys go ahead if we have any dedicated listeners who want to send some fan mail to like Ronald McDonald and address it to PepsiCo. You know,
Yeah,
let's
whatever,
like
yeah.
wherever. You know, please
Find the lowest common denominator of that profession and send it there.
yeah, do that. Tweet us at Manscout Manning. I'll retweet it all
Yeah.
day, every day. I swear.
Send you a t-shirt.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll send you a t-shirt or new laminate pins, which are hopefully out by the time this podcast is out. Doubt it, but they're coming. Another thing that's coming is Dick Roll's butt, which is always in the camera shot of this match.
But
Not
that's not
only is his face in the camera when they're trying to do an introduction, his butt is in the camera, which I do a lot of ringside camera work for matches, and there's nothing that infuriates me more than somehow a referee that finds a way to put his butt in the ringside camera shot time and time and time again. And Dick Roll finds a fucking way. No matter what he goes, I'm going to get my face on camera and I'm going to get this sweet ass on camera at all turns.
Look, Bobby Eaton might be beautiful, but look at the fucking hams on me, world.
Totally fuckable Dick Roll, third member of the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
So, just saying, if Sweet Stan leaves like Loverboy Dennis,
Yeah.
old fuckable Dick Roll's coming in.
Get that Randy Rhoads shit out of here.
But what were your thoughts on this match number 2, Larry Zbyszko taking on Barry Windham?
I was highly entertained. Especially the whole like go home sequence is just real. Like I always like whenever anybody asks me to watch their match, I always harp on the lack of the sense of urgency to get in certain points. Like when a lot of people tend to be going slow when they should be going fast, and fast when they should be going slow. And this had just the right roller coaster of like, oh shit, I gotta win. Oh shit, it's not going my way. I gotta try harder. Oh shit, me trying harder is fucking me up even more. I love that. And Larry Zbyszko is amazing. And Barry Windham gets mail at your job. But I love Larry Zbyszko. And I just thought that whole going home sequence was just so fucking on. Him running at that big knee and he moves out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really good roller coaster of emotion. Where the first one brought you in, this one brought me in.
What were your thoughts? Does this one bring you even deeper?
Well, the first thing is the bird that was there, Baby Doll.
David Off.
Same hair as Beautiful Bobby.
Yeah.
Bang, bang up.
They go the same.
The hair got me the whole way through. The hair in the audience, the barbers were making and the hairdressers were making so much money back then because there was so much volume in everybody's hair, so it was fantastic. And then what got me was it was the whole play around the cowboy fella's knee, and that was the emphasis of the fight. It was wearing him down. And then what I really started to buy in was this bravery of him coming back from this injury all the time, and he couldn't be beat. There was a little bit when, and again I go back to the coordination, when he was throwing him into the corner, and then the referee just happened to get in the way, and then the referee was knocked out, and then
he had no place else to go.
Right, and then he pinned him, and Baby Doll does the count, and fucking yelling at the TV screen. I'm like, no, wake up, it's about to happen. And then I never saw her put across the stiletto.
Yeah.
And then he just wails on him. And I've been hit with a stiletto. It's fun. It's
Go on over here. That's
what? Well, let's hear this story. What did you like? We've
Where
already
you get fan mail?
Everybody just saw how Barry Windham got hit with a stiletto, but how did you get hit with a stiletto?
So, I was in Australia. And
Well, there you go. End of story.
I was working in a drug rehab center, believe it or not, for teenagers.
Okay.
And I learned more than I...
Yeah.
But the receptionist there was fucking big into BDSM and all that shit.
Alright.
And we hung out a bit. And then...
Fucked.
I like where the story's
Yeah,
going.
hell yeah.
She was an Italian bird. And she...
Bird.
She just decided that we're gonna walk on you, right, with stilettos, and I'm all for it. And next thing she starts doing it, and I'm not reacting the way she wants to react, so she literally rips off her fucking stiletto and just hops it off. I'm like, she's like, pay attention, and I'm like, hello, nurse, you know, all for it. But and like fucking Baby Doll was the star of that show to me.
Yeah,
obviously.
You're like,
You start bringing
show her to walk on.
flashbacks of Australia.
Woman, right?
Yeah.
And
want her to
playing
walk
her
on
role. And again, this was something that probably wasn't as prominent in the WWF when you had Paul Bearer and things like that. But the manager wasn't as involved in the actual fight. Wasn't involved in the flow of the fight the way I saw in this particular tape, and how they were, shouting tactics, aggravating the opponent, all that kind of stuff. And just when she passed across the shoe, I was so proud. I was so proud.
I mean, Barry,
You're like Barry Windham, you lucky motherfucker.
Barry Windham, you can hear him audibly call Baby Doll a bitch.
Yeah,
you can hear
right.
that. Yeah, like, he's like, fucking bitch. Like, oh, Jesus. Like, careful with these microphones are at, guys. Speaking of some really the juicy things and very kinky things, did you guys notice that Larry Zbysko's trunks were hip height was probably like a half an inch too short? There was a lot of Larry Zbysko butt cheek in this match. I feel like that should be pointed out.
Just a right amount of Larry Zbysko butt cheek.
And you could tell that he wants those trunks to be high because this is back in the 80s when guys would pull those trunks up real high.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you have to make sure that you add a little bit on the hip height, or else you're going to show more butt cheeks. See, most people think it's more.
Side butt.
You think you need to add more to the waist to cover your butt cheeks, but no, it's more in the hip height and where that ends up. It's a hard lesson that I found out as well.
So all you wrestlers out there looking at how to measure your gear proper.
Yeah, be very careful on your hip height. Like a half an inch on hip height makes a world of difference.
So. That's the old saying, isn't it?
It says it everywhere.
But like, as much as you're saying the referee's hold was in the way the whole time, I never in my life saw the camera shot coming between two wrestlers between his legs as much as in this particular fight.
Yeah.
Whatever angle the camera was taken, I was like, we're half an inch away from total Armageddon here.
A little bit of taint in this shot.
And also too, something that I learned from the What Happened When podcast with Conrad Thompson and Tony Schiavone, they talked about how since this was New York, they had to use a lot of union camera guys. So there are a lot of guys that don't normally shoot wrestling.
Yeah. Right.
So that's part of the reason the production looks the way it does, because it's union guys, and they're just like, fuck it.
Point and click, motherfucker.
Yeah, I've fucking shot, New York's Giants games. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'll figure this fucking fake bullshit out. And then they get out there and they're like, oh shit, this is completely different. Oh shit, Bob Eaton is flying into me. I don't know what I'm doing here. I missed that shot, So it's a completely different world of shooting wrestling and everything else. But, anything else we can say about this match other than I really like the finish, especially Baby Doll counting the 1, 2, 3, and he thinks he won.
Yeah, that was real fucking cool. I was like, man, they don't do it like that anymore, man.
No, it's very, very small and just beautiful. Just the smallest little things just go a long way.
Gonna work that into a match this weekend.
Yeah, but speaking of things that go a long way. There were issues on the network feed that we all saw, and we didn't get to see Ric Flair or the Road Warriors entrance, which would have went a really long fucking way in making the show a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because Ric Flair's entrance with the robes and everything, that's what he's known
Part
for.
of the deal.
And we just jump right into the match right before they lock up. We might even miss the first couple spots. I don't know. But this is an NWA title match with the Nature Boy Ric Flair with J.J. Dillon in his corner taking on Road Warrior Hawk. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on this NWA title match?
Same with the Nikita Koloff thing. Like, hold him down so he can't hit me so hard.
Yeah.
Whole mess of that. Flair's amazing. It's kind of... I was never a Road Warriors fan, so I don't really give a shit. I just kind of watched to see what Flair would do, and that's really about all.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of thoughts to it.
I mean, to me, it was you could see the separation in levels of wrestler when it came to Ric Flair and Hawk, just right there. Like, obviously Hawk is jacked, big strong dude, and Ric Flair then was just consummate professional. To me, even looking as a complete layman, you bought into his role. He played that role well. Again, the idea, the early part of the match where he's getting stuck into Hawk and Hawk is not budging, and then his reaction to that, and just the whole thing. Again, the manager's playing a role was a little bit less interesting in this than it was in the other ones. But to me, what the challenge is in those when I'm watching that is, how do you make this last 30 minutes, or how do you make this last 20 minutes while keeping people engaged? And that's where the standard really jumped out to me. Is that the moves were obviously much more impactful than you go back to the Nikita fight, where it was pretty basic, and then you move on to this one where there's bodies flying and there's big hits going in, and again, you're buying into it. Because I'll go back to one of the first points I made was that like my bar, there was no bar that I had set to what I was about to watch, and then you watch the first fight and you're like, standard's pretty okay, but I'm not blown away by it. And then by the time you get to this championship match, you're like, fuck, this is wrestling. This is what I assumed wrestling would be.
Okay. So
that chair spot was really good, where JJ hits him and it doesn't do shit, but then Flair hits him and it works. I like that. And this is like a really good example of how commentary can really push something. They were doing a really good job with the whole leg thing with Barry Windham, but the commentary just like creating this story of how hardly anything is phasing Hawk, and just how great Flair is, but how he knows he's out muscled, and just the storytelling they did alone made up for a lot of the stuff too.
Yeah, and the Road Warriors, like Tully and Arn used to complain about wrestling them all the time, like, it's so hard wrestling these guys and it's so difficult. And Flair's even said in interviews that he would tell Tully and Arn, go, guys, if you just play up that they're these indestructible monsters, it's easy.
Yeah.
You just hit them with something, they no-sell, they beat their chest, you run around to hit something, you get bumped around. He goes, it's easy if you just play up to who they are. Yeah. And Flair just knew that formula so easily. And this is full-on display. This is Flair in his prime, just doing what he does best.
Great hair again.
Yeah, of course.
Great. Oh, yeah.
So much hair. I wonder what the hairspray budget was. Is that in your book? Hairspray
no,
budget.
I don't. I think that's the
Maybe
only thing I don't have. I mean, I got pay-per-view grosses. I've got buys. I got the fact that it was like, cost $15. I got the times that was stamped on the tickets. I don't have the hairspray budget.
We just need the Vidal Sassoon book.
Yeah,
that's the
really,
next book
it is.
We
can go probably back and look at their sales over years, and location-wise, we could probably get a good idea.
It's the first bit of blood we see in the show too. Is Ric Flair gets open,
and we're about to see a lot more.
Yeah, it's not the last bit of blood we see though.
But I don't have the information on the hairspray budget. But the information we're going to get next, while this cage is being set up,
I fast forwarded this thing for like 10 minutes. It's like, oh fuck! I hit fast forward and wasn't paying attention, and then it took me a second to get it to play. 10 minutes go by, still in the fucking talk.
They're talking, killing time, but they're fucking reading the credits.
Yeah,
right.
You couldn't show a video package.
Yeah,
an
interview,
why we're even here.
Yeah, or just you could have gone back to the Midnight Express. Just let Jim Cornette. You could have cut a promo. You could have the Midnight Express afterwards. Or cut a promo afterwards. They beat up. Just film that in the back. Take that to the truck and be we're gonna play this for a while, and that's gonna give you 3 or 4 minutes right there. And you could have thrown it back and came back to it. You have people that can talk.
Yeah.
You could have caught up with Ric Flair in the back and have him talk for 3 or 4 minutes, and that gets the whole cage set up. That they had no contingency plan on what we're going to do with pay-per-view time that's so precious, in fact, that we're going to cut Jimmy Garvin versus Stan Lane.
You probably could have had that match right here.
You could have them wrestle the match while they're setting up the cage.
In the ring, cage going up, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Or film the dark match, show highlights of that. We're spitballing better ideas than reading the fucking credits.
We're real kick-ass in '88, guys.
And the only production feature on there was the slow-mo right
Yes!
after the fight, which is effectively exactly what we saw, and it's not even that fucking slow. Like, it's, it's just the slow-mo replay, and they're like, look what we found this camera can do,
Yeah.
like how you do with your iPhone now. Look what it does, and then you do it over and over and over
Look at this
again.
filter. Boomerang, boomerang, boomerang.
Yeah, like, you could have played a whole bunch of GIFs if you wanted to. Like, that would have got you further. But it's all in service for match number 4, the 3rd annual Bunkhouse Stampede Finals, which the participants of the match, this is the finals. They had multiple Bunkhouse Stampede matches.
So does that mean there was multiple cage matches everywhere?
No, I think they were just regular battle royals.
Okay.
But the idea was that the bunkhouse, the reason why they're called bunkhouse is back in the old Texas cowboy days. If you had a disagreement with somebody, you go behind the bunkhouse and you fight it out.
Figure it out, right?
And you fight and you deal and it's settled. And basically they would run these Bunkhouse Stampede battle royals, come as you are, bring whatever you want into these battle royals, and then the winner of said battle royal, basically like everybody that was in this match had won a battle royal or multiple battle royals, and they just did it on a whole loop. It was just something they did on a house show loops, but they decided to televise the finals of it and up the stakes a little bit more by putting a cage, which just made the whole thing more difficult.
And fucking insanely unsafe. Blew my mind.
And then like you get the idea of pushing out through the door, which makes it look almost fake.
Yeah.
Because how do you set that up?
How do you accidentally find yourself over the top of a 10-foot steel cage?
Yeah.
That was like, what the fuck?
And on the What Happened When podcast, I brought up a good point. Like, if you can bring whatever you want into the ring, why don't you just bring a pair of handcuffs, handcuff yourself to the top rope? Yeah. You ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I win. Fuck you guys. Whenever you're ready to leave, let me know.
Yeah, I'd be here all night.
For me, the evolution, like, and now that you say that this is where the Royal Rumble came from, that, as I said, that's mind blowing, because like you'd 8 guys in the ring and it looked like the ring was packed, and then some motherfucker said, "Hey, let's put 30 of them in there, and see what happens." And I'm guessing too, it made no sense to me either. That's how you get eliminated, is by going over the top of the 10-foot cage. Yeah. When the cage obviously evolves into them.
It holds people in.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
But then you have the door. But then we're already booking better ideas. Yeah. What if you have the guy that does handcuff himself to the bottom rope, but it's on the side where the door is, and everybody's like, "Oh fuck!" But then they start looking at the door, and they start beating the fuck out of him, and they beat him, and they all push him out the door. Yeah. His feet would touch because it's on the bottom rope.
But he's still
handcuffed. That's
so
in.
He can't get away.
So he can't get away, but he's still there, and then that could play into later him hitting the door or hitting somebody as they're coming out, and then that everybody's got to go up to the top, and that's what you can do.
You could even have a handcuff match to where all 8 wrestlers have one handcuff open, and you've got to handcuff all other 7, and you be the one that wasn't handcuffed and get out.
All right, listen, Irish Vince. So we'll get into that eventually. We'll get there.
Let's put that on here and tell them.
Yeah, no shit.
My wrestling name is the Jockey.
I would. Yeah.
Small jockey, big whip, like.
Yeah. Oh shit! Yeah. This kid, you want to be a wrestler, kid, to make some money?
But I didn't even get to the participants of this match. Let's list them right now.
I would rather you list them, but also talk about what they're wearing.
Because
the fashion show to get in this motherfucker is the best part of this pay-per-view.
All right, then let's start with right at the top: Dusty Rhodes, yellow tank top, cowboy boots,
knee bracelet outside, fucking baseball cap. Everybody, he wears that hat for a minute after the match starts.
Oh yes,
turns that motherfucker around. Over the top style.
Then next out is Tully Blanchard, cut off sweatshirt with a weight belt, boots and jeans. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, weight belt.
Ivan Koloff.
Did you make out what his shirt said?
Tully's?
It said Ivan's.
Ivan Koloff.
It said friendship something.
Ooh, but I didn't get his.
He comes out in an all red sweatsuit.
Yes.
Sweatpants and a weight belt.
Yeah. Well, he's Russian, so that's what Russians wear. Yeah, like the Russian Olympic team outfit.
Okay. I never really get good signal at your house.
Warlord came out next wearing a shirt that said lifeguard.
Very ironic.
Very, very ironic. Arn Anderson came out wearing a Four Horsemen t-shirt.
That was cut up above his belly button.
You know what? I don't know if it's because I watched like A Football Life of Dwight Clark and they showed a lot of 80s fashion, or it was this show, but I was like walking in the gym today and I go, you know what? When summer comes around, I really need to take some t-shirts, cut off the sleeves, and then cut it up to a
midriff going.
Yeah, I'm pretty jacked right now, and I feel like I could rock that pretty well.
Lash out the boob tube, like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rock that. You in board with me, Kevin? You gonna rock that this summer?
No, I would. My body is slightly offensive.
Okay.
I wasn't blessed with great genetics. But I'd be absolutely open for it, and I think the two of us as a promo should walk down.
What would you wear coming to a Bunkhouse Stampede?
What would I wear?
You come as you are. How would you come to a Bunkhouse Stampede?
I'd definitely wear a helmet.
That's a good idea. You can bring what you
A
want.
jockey's helmet. Oh no, I'd go all in horseman, like,
Okay.
You're the four horsemen, I'm the fucking jockey, right?
Okay.
Come in there,
all right.
silk pants, big tall black boots,
Yeah, hell
silk
yeah.
top.
All
I'd
right.
unbutton it while I'm in the ring, and
Sleeveless jockey, button up. Hell yeah.
I give you remember that episode of The Simpsons where it was all the jockeys and they become this little like evil elf. That'd be me. Right? That'd be really easy.
Well, that most certainly wasn't the outfit that Lex Luger was wearing. Lex Luger just looked like he was about ready to work out.
He was a stunning human, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was like a specimen of a man.
Everybody thought he should have been the guy that win this thing.
I was surprised that he didn't.
Yeah. Okay. You and everybody else that was in attendance. Everybody at the
When
time.
they said that Dusty had won 2 before this, I was like, oh, he's going to be the first one out.
Right, because that made sense, right?
Yeah, like he's won 2 already. There's no way he's going to win the first 3.
Well, and he also had he had to do a wild card just to qualify for this one.
Yeah.
Because everybody else had already won one, and they had like a Bunkhouse Stampede match on TV just for him to even qualify to be even in this one. Also, 2 other people that were in it was Barbarian and then Road Warrior Animal, who won the most Bunkhouse Stampedes to be in it, and he was just dressed as Road Warrior Animal with a tank top on, because that makes him more of a badass, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, everybody was real surprised that Luger did not win, because Luger, they knew they were getting him ready to be the biggest star.
It was the second coming. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And Dusty had kind of already been around a while, and Dusty was also the guy putting the matches together, deciding who won, who lost, what we're going to do, and all these other things. So, like, obviously when Dusty wins this thing, people are like, what the
How
fuck?
legit is the purse on this?
Not.
Yeah.
Not. Like, I've told the Austin Idol story, right, about Battle Royals. I think I told it on the Superclass show.
Where they wrote in the check and he cashed it?
Yeah, well, I was going to retell it again, but that's basically it, yeah.
Well, go ahead. No.
No.
I mean, they've told it.
I've already done told it, so go listen to
But
it.
he hasn't heard it.
Yeah, but the fans have heard it. So? Okay. All right, here it is. Basically, back in the day, because you try to protect wrestling on whether the winners and losers are a real thing or not. And it's very specific about those battle royals. Battle royals would be like a $10,000. This is a $500,000.
Right.
But they did say there'd be a whole bunch of money in a boot.
Yeah.
But they just have a check.
Right.
Which, for it to not draw very well and they're giving you a check, I'd be a little worried.
Yeah.
But no.
I counted the house, brother. I'm not taking this check.
But usually, for the validity of it, so fans can see the check, and because you want the wrestler to walk back and show all the fans, like, this is a legit check, it's signed and everything. The promoter, when you'd win the Battle Royal, they would present you with a check, and it'd be a legit check from the promotion, signed, everything, a valid check. And as soon as you get to the back, the promoter's like, I need that check back. Right. Well, Austin Idol won a $10,000 Battle Royal, and went to the back, and they didn't ask for the check. And he's like, okay, I'll just put this in my pocket. And then he was driving down the road a couple weeks later, and they were kind of stiffing on him on some pay, and they weren't treating him very well. And all of a sudden he's like, I wonder if I took this check to a bank, could I cash it? So pulled into a bank, went to the teller, said, I'd like to cash this. Sure. And then hand him the money. And he's like, okay. That was easy enough. A few hours later, he got a phone call. And they said, you weren't supposed to cash that check. You need to give us that money back. And he goes, no. I won that Battle Royal.
Yeah. Wow.
So
good for him.
That's
Really
everybody's
sticking to it,
consensus.
man. Yeah, good for
That's everybody's consensus. But no, I'm pretty sure. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Dusty gave it back because he was going to get it back anyway. So.
He probably signed the goddamn check.
It's probably less than what he was making anyway.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, come as you are, winner take all, anyways, Dusty takes the belt off and he's whipping motherfuckers
Yeah,
like crazy.
yeah.
Not giving a fuck if he blinds somebody by whipping them either.
Like you should.
But what are your thoughts on this match, Kevin?
So you look at the other 3 matches that we've watched, and again I go back to the coordination that all worked out. To me, some of this looked painful, like legit, like some shit's going down in here, you know. And I did think it was, as we discussed a minute ago, there was a little bit of bullshitology going on with how you get eliminated and all that.
Yeah, because you got to climb up, and why would you climb up if you know
Yeah.
that's how you get eliminated?
Right. I just lay down in the middle. It's dead fish on the
like the rules don't match how you do it, and then also too, you can go out the door. Well, that's like a very narrow thing, and also there's like 3 ropes in your way.
Yeah.
And it's just like even like the elimination of like Lex and Arn, they're like fighting out the door, and then all of a sudden, here the fuck comes Tully diving through with them. And like, how the fuck did Tully? Because Dusty's fighting Barb over here. How did Tully end up going through? And like, did he just like say, "Oh, there's Arn fighting. Let me just dive right at him haphazardly and knock them all out."
I got you, Arn.
This is not a risky move at all for me. You know what I mean? To go to this, that was a bit frustrating. But again, there was some legitimate wrestling going on in there. I felt looking at it that again I was surprised when Lex came out. As I thought, because they described him as this young phenom that was coming through, and
because he was like as far as like jacked guys in wrestling.
Yeah,
like he was like. I mean, Hulk Hogan was big. He was muscular, very bulky, but the idea of like guy with like abs and like being vascular and looking like that, like he was like one of the first guys.
But he was a handsome bastard as well, you know what I mean? That like he probably I don't know, you can tell me like that he was the first one to really bring sex appeal to the thing as well, like to where, you know, maybe
well, I mean, me growing up as a kid and seeing Lex Luger, I'm like, man, I want to look like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it didn't take till I was 36 to even like scratch the surface. And I'm still probably, I don't know, like 80 pounds smaller than he is.
Hell of an athlete as well, and like there was a couple of those moments where he's got 2 people beating on him and he just, you know, shakes his head and just has at it with the 2 of them, and you get in behind it and get psyched about it. There seemed to be no real downtime in this fight, you know what I mean? When you're talking about the move quick and move slow, and this was up tempo the whole way. One of the most exciting parts was waiting for the first wrestler to be eliminated, and you were figuring it was either the Russian guy who did get put out or one of the lesser characters, so to speak, in there. But like, you was a bit surprised Dusty wasn't. When he didn't go out first, I was like, "There's probably a chance he's going to take this."
See, you even knew the ego of Dusty Rhodes.
But I think again, you go back to the production value and everything like that. If that was what was meant to happen, that should have been like such a massive story. A guy to win 3 in a row, the first 3.
And he got him by a wild card.
Right, I get blown up.
Just even saying that right there, that just clearly means that like he wasn't even supposed to be in there. He got in last minute, and just seeing that story laid out, it's like, oh, well, obviously, clearly he's winning. You know, like to me, looking at him, like, yeah, Dusty should have won the way the story was laid out.
And then you find out at the end that he was contemplating retirement and all this kind of stuff. That's a fucking story. You don't even need a writer to come in there and say, well, look, Jesus, Dusty Rhodes, his last hurrah, can he do it? Could he do it? Could he do the impossible? His knee's done. He's out of shape and all this kind of stuff. And again, honestly, I think we got the job right here.
Yeah, you got the actual winner. You know,
let's just redo a match. Let's just redo this show with people we know.
Right.
And just rewrite it.
Yeah. Now, granted, like every NWA fan's like, no, it was bullshit that he won it, but like, the story's there.
Yeah.
He got him by a wild card. Can he make it 3 in a row? He's you know, like I said, he's waning up in years. I mean, heck, that's my story right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my story that I tell.
Nowhere near as old as Dusty was.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near where he's at right now. But yeah, like, it just makes the most sense that Dusty would. And you know, I could see why people wouldn't want to push back on Lex because, yeah, Lex has a great body. Yeah, Lex is the hot new thing, but at the same time, too, Lex is very limited in the ring.
Right.
You already have so many guys that are over that you've gone through that are limited in the ring. You have Nikita, you have all the Road Warriors, and you're trying to make these guys look good every single night. Do we really want to elevate Lex too? And now we have all these guys that are elevated, and we got one of them that we elevated, and his obviously passion is waning, and he's in the first match, and we have a belt on him right now. Do we really want to elevate Luger? And we have 4 guys that got we got 4 guys that are like that, and one of them has already got a belt tied up and his passion's waning. Is Luger going to do the same?
Yeah.
And I see that where, like, especially if you're Dusty and you're trying to do this big expansion, and you want people you can rely on, then you bet on yourself. I get it. People criticize it, but I fucking get it. You know, I totally get it. How do you feel about it? You're the one that you put shows together, and that you're on.
Yeah.
Do you put Lex over?
I'd never put myself over, but I totally understand why people do.
Yeah.
Because I'll be the first motherfucker trying not to come to the show. That's why I don't put it on myself. Put it on the guy that I know wants to be there every single show. So yeah, no, I put it on.
But if you already have a guy who's got a great body, that's passion's waning, that we have a belt on right now, do you want to elevate somebody else like that?
So if I have the guy already has a belt and
I'm talking about Nikita. I'm talking about Nikita in the first match.
Okay.
The rise that Luger is having right now is very similar to the rise Nikita had in early 87, 86.
It wouldn't be on Lex.
Yeah, and you're seeing Lex now rise to those same heights.
Yeah.
Do you want to
I don't think
take
it's
it
on Lex? No.
Even though Lex, when put in there with Flair, Flair will tell you, like, no, he was there for everything.
Yeah.
He goes, I never feared taking a
without
press
knowing
slam.
where the future goes.
Yeah.
Just seeing what we have with it. No, it wouldn't be on.
Because
it would be on someone basically the complete opposite of Lex.
Because Lex's attitude is notoriously bad.
Dusty.
yeah. Lex's attitude notoriously has been bad. But as far as in-ring work and being there for stuff, Flair will tell you he was always there.
Yeah.
But we don't know that at this time necessarily.
Yeah.
So
was there an opportunity there though in this to have Lex and Dusty be the last two in the ring?
And it would have made the most sense because they gave the most story to those two guys.
Yeah, but at the same time too, it's babyface.
Yeah.
You need a bad guy in there.
Yeah.
Right.
So who are the bad guys?
Lex would have come out the bad guy because he's the one that's more physically dominant, and Dusty's the everyman. So you're gonna go get behind the plumber more than you are the beefcake.
But here's the thing: it's New York, though. It's do you push back on like the cowboy country, and that's the whole thing. The criticism of this whole thing. You're running this Bunkhouse Stampede in New York.
Okay, yeah.
Do you go to the guy that looks a lot jacked, big with muscles? Because in New York, Hulk Hogan, big muscles, we cheer him.
Well, I guess
is Lex going to get the cheers over Dusty?
If I was going to think about it that way, I would be thinking the fact that if I'm doing a pay-per-view and WWE is just going to do a pay-per-view because I'm doing one out of spite, and I make Lex mad, he's going to leave and go there.
And I think that's what a lot of people are thinking right here. And then actually...
So in that case, I would put Lex up because Dusty can't go anywhere because he's the man.
But at the same time, too, Dusty putting himself forward made everybody mad and caused, actually, Tully and Arn to leave basically almost within September of that year.
Wow.
And it was after this event that Tully made the famous quote that Dusty should just book himself against himself.
Alex Chamberlain.
Yeah. So so Tully and Arn were gone in September of '88. Ivan would be gone in January of '89, so a year from now.
Yeah.
Dusty would be let go and fired at the end of the year. And Powers of Pain would be gone in June of this year. Only Animal and Lex were left in 1989 for the full year of '89. So,
wow, that's some attrition, isn't it?
Yeah.
Out of this whole match, the only two were Lex and Animal left behind, and actually Animal left in '90. So, all these guys. Everybody cites this as the beginning of the end for Jim Crockett Promotions and selling to Turner. This is the turning point.
Wow.
So, but as far as a show, people pan it. But Kevin, everything that you said about it, you were enthralled with and you enjoyed. Is that your overall vision of this whole show?
Yeah, I was I jotted down a couple of questions and like I was watching the show. I didn't miss a minute of it, and I was into it, like, you know, and again, part of me at the start said, like, I'll figure it out and I'll throw it on and I'll do a little bit of work here and there. No, I was glued to it. And, I guess that is the, somewhat having not watched wrestling in 25 years, that I now understand why people do watch it, because it is that taking me back to that world where you're just bought into the drama that's actually going on. And for me, I thought the first fight was forgettable. That I probably won't talk about that. But then when we got to Ric Flair and Hawk, and then you're looking at the finals in the Stampede, that's entertaining to me. Now, we've already talked about the production value, the screw ups with people walking across camera shot. I also think, having hosted as you both have, that for the two guys that were announcing, that wasn't an easy role.
No.
To say, basically you're going into a pay-per-view with thousands of people watching, and it's on you.
Especially the killing of the time of putting up the cage.
You got to carry it. We don't have anyone to cut to. We don't have backup B-roll. We don't have anything to all we have is a 30-second slow-mo what's just happened. So I'd have to throw a bit of credit that way too, to keep you engaged. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for whether I would now suddenly be watching wrestling 3 or 4 nights a week, I'm not sure. But
we don't make them like this anymore.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It for what it was.
Let me ask you a couple follow-up questions.
Sure.
So obviously, you watched WWF in the early '90s and all that stuff. If you ended up watching this and paid $15 to watch it, would you be happy with it? Would you watch it again as a child, or would you like, oh, this is kind of a secondary product?
If I was to qualify that just a little bit, am I watching it with today's standards in mind? Paying $15 with today's standards in mind? In which case you'd be disappointed, wouldn't you? But like going back, like I say, my mother used to wake me up at midnight or 2 a.m. to go watch it.
But as a child, you would probably
shit, man, that'd blow your mind right there.
Blow your mind.
But as a kid that watched the bigger characters, soap opera style, and then one day you switched over and came across this same show, would it have crossed for you? Would you have understood the difference? Would wrestling just be wrestling?
To me, it would have been like Division 2 a little bit. Would that be a fair comment?
That'd be fair.
Again, it was the little things. Like I was expecting walk-in music.
Yeah.
And even different walk-in music for different fights, not just the same circle and track on the whole way, because it was brutal. The music was fucking atrocious.
So it's the little things.
Yeah, it's those things to me that make all the difference.
Okay.
Like interviewing the fighters.
Yeah.
You love that bit of chip. One of my favourite things in WWF, and I would watch, is when they would go back in, and Mean Gene, who died the other day, right? And I'm sure you guys have gone over that a million times, but I saw it, and you go back into the back room and he's interviewing someone like The Rock or someone like that, and he's picking and putting a chip on somebody's shoulder, and then you're like tuning in next week to see what happens.
Yeah.
That was missing, and like even I was hoping that one of the managers was going to get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Especially, who's the guy in the first fight?
Jim Cornette,
because he transfer to WWF as well.
Yes.
Because I recognized him. I couldn't place him, but you were hoping he got his ass kicked, and they were the things that were missing that maybe the WWF did have at that time. But as far as like literally watching it for what it was, it made me happy today. But like I said, it probably would fall in Division 2.
So it's those little things that were really missing that have been defined as pro wrestling to you, but as far as the in-ring product, you'd say
entertaining,
equal to.
Yeah, I'd say so, because if you go back again to the WWF days when I was watching, you'd have like a main event, which was two people you knew that would spend 30 minutes knocking crap out of each other. But usually the start of the show was a couple of nothing matches where you had, Rocky Maivia, as he was at the time, and spitting some knowledge there, bro, huh?
Yeah.
But
show you who's overqualified for this podcast.
But and it's literally a 4 or 5 minute match, which nobody really paid attention to. It was just a time killer, which wasn't too dissimilar to this. But when you got to the main event, I would say, outside of the real classics that you would talk about in the WWF, like when it was Bret Hart, Lex Luger, Yokozuna, all that kind of stuff, the casket match with the Undertaker or something. Outside of those, like real elite level contests, this would pretty much match up in ring for me. Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious, and that's why I gave you the show, because I want to know your perspective. It's interesting that somebody's never seen like NWA wrestling before, but it's only seen WWF, because that's that's how I grew up. Right. I was solely WWF. Like when Ric Flair came to WWF when I was a child, and they talk about, he's a big deal and he's a world champion. I go, he's a rookie. He hasn't been anywhere else. There's only WWF. Like I thought Ric Flair was a rookie when he came to WWF. Yeah. Like, who's this rookie coming in? Man, this is an old rookie. Guy. Who's this old rookie?
To me,
and I only came experience to Bobby Eaton when he was the Blue Bloods.
Right.
And then you look back at this era of Midnight Express, and like, holy shit, he was like so good. And you'd have no idea, no concept of who they were. And when I would see WCW action figures in the store in the early 90s, I thought they were just generic wrestlers.
Okay.
I thought WCW was just a generic brand for generic. You know, you see,
get it like Walgreens.
Yeah, like the Walgreens like wrestlers were like world champion wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I thought WCW, World Championship Wrestling. It sounded generic.
Right.
And I would see like the face painted guy, so I thought it would just be like the face painted guy on like the Nintendo Pro Wrestling thing. I had no idea that Sting was an actual person.
Man.
Yeah, I thought like Sting was Starman.
Yeah.
In my mind.
To me too, when the very best wrestlers like in the WWF that were really built to last, they could develop a character even within a fight. So they, like, if you were the heel, as you guys call it, they would bring the crowd into hating them a little bit more. They would play with the audience a little bit more, which was probably missing. And that's probably why some of those fighters that you're talking about, or some of those wrestlers in the earlier fights on this particular show, that's probably what they were lacking, was that ability to develop a character in fight or in show to where, you hated them much more. Like, I mean, I just think when that second member of Midnight Express was going to do a run on, I mean, if we found out about that 45 seconds earlier, he's in the audience, he's making his way down, but they don't know he's there, all of a sudden you're on the edge of your seat a little bit more. And again, I go back, it's those little things that I think separate the elite from that. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and sometimes when I produce wrestling, I think all these little things don't matter. Like, I just present a good product, but it is the little things that matter. Yeah. It's the nice entranceway. It's the proper lights over the ring. It's the promos. It's all the stuff that, as a production guy, it's like, it's another thing to do. Yeah. But it's sometimes the more important thing. But follow-up question, sure. $1 million question.
$500,000 is the Bunkhouse Stampede.
So the Ted DiBiase question.
Yes, the Bunkhouse Stampede, the boot full of money question. Kevin, let's pretend that your mom wakes you up 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. Says, Kevin, get up. We're going to get on a plane. We're going to fly to Uniondale, New York. We're going to go to Nassau Coliseum. We have tickets to go see the Bunkhouse Stampede. Uh-huh. You walk into the building at 8 p.m. And then the show is over at 9 p.m. How mad are you? How do you feel?
I'm mad just you describing that scenario.
Because that was an actual thing that happened.
Don't you think that's how you end up disliking your parents?
Yeah, this is your fault, Mom.
What do you mean? What do you mean? And like, being in the event business that I'm in, I don't know how that happens. I really don't know how that fucking happens.
Especially when you have television.
Right.
That airs on a weekly basis, and you can tell people, bell time.
Yeah.
Bell time. Bell time. Bell time. Hey, there's some tickets out there that say this, but the bell time is this.
Right.
And emphasize that. Even when Memphis would change their ticket prices, sometimes they would change it to, they would knock it down like a couple bucks, or they would adjust the ticket prices to something. Hey, special ticket prices or the advanced ticket prices are this, or what. They would pound it to, an extra amount in their television product. If you knew that there was an error in ticketing, wouldn't you be pumping that out as much as possible? And there's a theory that, because you hear some booing towards the end of the show, that the booing isn't so much for Dusty winning.
The show's over.
It's the show's over.
And they were late.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, to me, that'd be... I wonder if that contributed as much to the decline in that.
It'd have to.
As those wrestlers leaving, because I mean, you've got to come back in even as a wrestler, even as a participant, and say this is absolute bullshit. Whatever show we're running here is absolute bullshit. You know, I can't. I'm better than that kind of thing. Again, like you go through even the process. At the time, tickets would have been printed. They certainly weren't delivered online, so tickets were printed. Somebody communicated to the printer the times, and maybe they weren't even proofread. Maybe they weren't looked at because there wasn't imaging. It was probably just time and number of ticket or whatever like that. But how did it happen that some were 7:30, some were 8 o'clock, and the start time was 6:30?
Yeah,
like, it wasn't like somebody said 6:45 and somebody said 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. It's fucking 7:30 and 8 o'clock. That's criminal. It's fucking criminal.
That's what happened.
And that's the Stampede.
And that is the Bunkhouse.
Was there a fourth one?
I think there were. I think I saw the list that they had like 5 other ones, but I think it was more like a house show attraction. They didn't have actual like a big show that was just the Stampede and stuff like that. But I think there were multiple, and I think Dusty Rhodes won all of those as well. Even though
it's better than winning 3, winning 4, and 5.
Even though he was fired at the time, he still won them.
Yeah, they just mailed him a boot.
Yeah, they just mailed him a boot. But yeah, that's this show, the highly discussed, and so it was very wonderful to have your eyes on it and your thoughts on it. You enjoyed it and stuff like that. Kevin, you have a live microphone in front of you. I know you have some things you have to plug as a performer, entertainer, and an employee. So please use this time to do so.
My man, well, look, first off, absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Something I've never done before. Tremendously exciting to like step out of the box. So thank you very much.
Fantastic job.
Yeah, did a great job.
It was a blast. First thing I want to plug, after the most recent mic at the Evening Muse, I got booked to feature at the next Find Your Muse.
Oh, good for you.
So I got a 20-minute spot on February 18th.
Yeah.
So I just need to find like 17 more minutes of comedy. But yeah, come on out. I think the Evening Muse is one of the nicest spots I've been in. I've actually...
And you say February 18th?
February 18th.
Yeah, that's going to just lead into that whole mid-February, like the Revolt Comedy.
That we'll talk about next week.
Yeah, and Revolt Comedy is the 11th. The next Evening Muse show, the All Organic show, is the 12th. There's also the Free Pudding Comedy show on the 12th. Also to my VizArt video room will be on the 15th. I will be running $5 Wrestling on the 17th, so that's going to be busy. And then now you're at the Muse, and I have to come support you on the 18th. Awesome. So basically, from the 11th to the 18th, all kinds of comedy, wrestling, all kinds of stuff. So.
But it isn't the Evening Muse a cracking venue though? Because I've been in it now half a dozen times.
Especially their Monday night one, where it's like a mixed one, where you got like 5 comedians, and then also you have a lot of people doing poetry, a lot of music. It's primarily a music one. And there's some just amazing musicians. There's musicians that stop through from New York, L.A., Nashville even too. Like all kinds of just musicians. That
and
just
the
come
audience,
through.
it's a hell of an audience. They pay attention, they respect. There's great sound quality in there. And I'm talking again as somebody that doesn't know a whole lot, but this comes across really, really quick. So looking forward to that. Very much so. First feature ever. I've been doing comedy about 6 weeks, so it's going to be fun.
Fuck you.
It's the accent. It's all about the fucking accent.
They're like, they just grabbed you. They just grabbed you. I want that in our microphone. I want that in our microphone.
It's really easy to do a Lucky Charms joke, though, let me tell you.
You just say the word, everybody.
And then, look, big plug then would be the Queen's Cup steeplechase. I know very few people have probably experienced steeplechase racing, which is basically the Kentucky Derby where we put big black fences in the way of the horses. So it's a blast.
What day is that?
April 27th, always the last Saturday in April. Tickets will be available in Harris Theatre right throughout the month of April. $45 tickets. You get out there, there's 15,000 of your closest friends on the largest single area tailgate in North Carolina.
It's one of those ones where you gotta like wear a suit, or is it some fancy?
There's areas for everything. So if you want to throw on your seersucker and bow tie, and I'm not so sure you look like a seersucker and bow tie kind of guy, Jake. But
I got a blue suit with a nice shirt.
That
looks
that works at horse races or extra talent work.
Yeah, well, it's a nice suit. It's very similar to Timothy Dalton in License to Kill.
Oh my man!
Exactly, yeah.
Well, there's 15,000 beautiful people out there, women in sundresses and big hats.
That's what I was going to get to. I'm just trying to get to. Yeah.
Sundresses and cowboy boots, brother.
Oh,
my kryptonite.
It's a great event. Check it out. Fuck it. If you don't,
what
the fuck, right?
Why not?
But that's what my spring is busy doing. What I do is I pretty much find the dollars that make the day go ahead. In business development, it's a cracking challenge for me. I never went to college or anything like that, so to step into a role like that again is a big challenge. Fake it till you make it.
There you go.
God damn it. Yes.
God bless.
God bless. Zane, what do you got coming up?
What is this?
You can cover the end of January on this one and the beginning of February.
I have this on
because this would be next Thursday actually, or this upcoming Thursday.
This upcoming Thursday, then tomorrow I will be at the Queens of Combat show, and I'll have 2 days of PWX with the X16 in Concord, North Carolina. The Saturday is a double shot with Queens. And the week after, I will have a show in Hubert, North Carolina, like I always talk about. And then I have a seminar on the 26th in Hyde Night, North Carolina, and then a show later that night. It's a $10 seminar. We come out, hang out, do some drills that are done in the WWE Performance Center, do some drills that we do at High Spots, and then we have some practice matches, and we talk about psychology and character development. So a whole bunch of information for $10. It'll be 2 hours in Hyde Night, North Carolina.
Okay. If you listen to this in a timely fashion and you live in Charlotte, North Carolina, I believe the VizArt show will be happening tomorrow. On Friday. I have some secret stuff going on in January, but do pay attention to all of my social media on that. I can't discuss any of it at this time, so it's a big thing. So
do.
Yeah, I got signed by WWE. That's what guys do now. They just say that they're signed by WWE when they really haven't been. So.
Vince is watching.
Vince is watching me. But know who is listening are some people that left some reviews. I should have said at the top of the show, but we had to talk about dead bodies.
Yeah,
we got to put that at the top.
Priorities,
so.
Right?
Yeah,
priorities. It was a life and death situation.
Do you ever think that death is like a once in a lifetime experience?
See, now you're a little bit closer to that 20 minutes now. Use that joke. But big thank you to Josh Strickland on iTunes. You were saying at the top of the poll, you're the most recent iTunes review. I appreciate it so much. I believe I've sent out your t-shirt for leaving a review. Just as a reminder, guys, if you leave a review on iTunes and you get up with me via Twitter or email at manscottmanning@yahoo.com, and you give me your shirt size and address, I will mail you a shirt, a How Did This Get Booked t-shirt for leaving a review. And Josh Strickland, you should have already received yours. If you have not, got up with me. I definitely know that Destiny Edwards has gotten her shirt. She is still at the top of the poll for Stitcher right now. So I will say your names until somebody takes you off of the poll and writes another review either on Stitcher or iTunes. Like I said, that's all you got to do to get a free shirt from How Did This Get Booked. You can also order one from howdidthisgetbooked.com, which is also where I have my own personal merch. We also hopefully have How Did This Get Booked pins that are available. If there have not, something has seriously gone wrong. We'll have some more merch like that. Also, I have some new merch. I will also have my Power of Professional Wrestling t-shirt, which is a t-shirt that all the proceeds will be going to a different charity for a certain period of time. Basically, if you order a shirt between now and the end of April, all of the proceeds will go to Timeout Youth Center, which benefits LBGTQ youth here in Charlotte. So make sure you benefit for that so this wonderful safe space can exist. And if you don't think that wonderful safe space should exist, go fuck yourself. That's just the hardest stance I'll take on that, and I will stand very firmly on that. But I hope you stand firmly on this podcast and you subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and wherever podcasts are available. This has been another edition of How Did This Get Booked?
Woo.